Hello friends, welcome back to Compiler Hacking. In this video, let's implement the redo statement. Redo is something that Ruby has. Honestly, I've never used it, but if we want to be a complete Ruby implementation, then we need to have the redo statement, which I take it just jumps back to the beginning of a loop or a block in this case. I assume it's always inside of a block because that might be doable in our implementation. I like to think so. So I created this very convoluted code to test this. I went ahead and copied that over into a failing test, one inside of a loop and one inside of an each method call. And let's make sure this works in Ruby. Kernel test. And it does. Make sure it fails in Natalie. And it does. We get a compiler error. Redo is not recognized. Let's look at the AST for what we get when we parse the redo statement. So if I have a loop and I have a redo inside of it, what does the AST look like? It's just a plain old redo. Can it take an argument? No, that does not parse. That is not valid Ruby to use a redo statement with an argument. So we're fine there. Really, all we need to do is to handle this S expression with a redo symbol at the beginning. So we'll go to pass one, redo, and we need to do something. What are we going to do? Let's just put a block for now. A block is just a way of grouping expressions together in our internal representation, and I'm not putting anything in the block, so this is essentially a no-op. And if I now try to run this, I think it's just going to be an infinite loop, because it's going to do nothing. That is exactly what it's doing. So let's look at the C++ for what we get when we have a loop. Let's do debug and we'll pipe that to less. And here is the block that we're passing to the loop method. I should probably output something, but it would be right after this line where we're printing the number 1, we would be calling a redo. And the thing that's calling block fn1 is down here, right here, loop, and we're passing block 1. Block 1 is a new block that points to that function. And when we send loop, the loop message, it is calling kernel CPP loop right here. If there's no block, we do something else. Otherwise, we just have this infinite loop and we call this macro, nat run, block, and possibly break. It's very verbose. The way that works is right here. It just calls the run method on the block, passing in the arguments, and if the result has a break flag, then we remove the break flag and return from, we're not going to be returning from this macro, of course, we're going to be returning from where the macro is called. So it's going to return from this loop method. Well, let's do this. Let's go look at break. Process break. What does that do? Let's focus on this piece here. This is what I was thinking I would do something like this, but instead of adding the break flag, what if we add a redo flag? And then our macro would handle this by running the block again. That could possibly work. So let's go see how is add break flag implemented. That is a method on value Flags are just an integer, and we set a bit representing each flag. So we'll do add a redo flag, remove redo flag, and has redo flag. This would be redo, redo, redo. And our flags are up here. Redo is 8. And so now we have a way of marking something as redo. I suppose we would do has redo flag, remove redo flag. We don't want to return. I'm going to do this the stupid way first. The stupid way would be this way, which would only work once, right? Now, how can we turn this into a loop? So it's going to run the block. It's going to check if it has a break flag. It's going to check if it has a redo flag. This would be an else. Oops. Else if. But this is not a loop. So I think what we want to do is something more like this. While. No, this is going to be a do. Let's make it a do. Do result is okay, let's format that and just kind of look this over. So we have a result. We're going to do. We're going to say, this isn't quite right, is it? While result has redo flag. That's not right either, because right here we are removing it. Okay, I can think of a stupid way to do it. What if we do a null putter here and we say if result and if there's a result, then let's do result remove redo flag. That's a little gross, possibly, but it could work. So it starts out as a null putter. So the first time through, this is going to be null. We're going to run the block. We're going to get the result. If it's a break flag, we're going to remove the break flag. We're going to return the result. If we have a redo flag, then we're going to go back to the top of the loop. We're going to remove the redo flag and carry on again. So I don't think that's horrible. There's some duplication in these other macros. I'm not going to worry about that right this second, because I happen to know that this will get our test passing. I will come back and look at these other macros, because there may be a chance for me to implement these macros using this macro or some way to deduplicate that. Like I said, not going to worry about it right now. So let's save that. And then let's copy this and let's go back to our redo and paste this here. Our value is just going to be nil. We do need a temporary variable. Create a temporary variable, then set it to nil, add the redo flag, and then return that. Let's look at the AST from pass 1, DP1, and let's just see if that makes any sense. 872. Okay, so creating a redo value, which is just nil, or adding the flag to that value, then we're returning that value. This all happens inside of a block function. That could work. That could work. I think the next step is to run the tests and see what breaks. Add redo flag was not declared. This is not something I love about the compiler. I have to tell it what are methods versus what are bare functions. Just about everything at this point is a method because we're now fully in C++ land, but back when we started, everything was in C, and I had a mix of both, and I need to come up with something better for this. But really all I got to do here is add this add redo flag as a list, or to our list of methods, and then run this again. And also I have a list of void functions, and this is a void function, so I have to add it here. Well, something happened. Didn't do exactly what it's supposed to do, but at least it didn't crash. We got 123 instead of 1123, line 43. Kernel test 43. Does that mean, here, let's skip this test. Does that mean the other one worked? The other one worked. Fantastic. So it worked for loop. It did not work for each. Let's go see how each works. At run block and possibly break, which is the same thing. Let's just make sure I'm getting here. Let's let's focus that test. Let's start, let's end. Yes, start here, end. Okay, I was just making sure I'm actually in here because there is another each and it's on enumerable. I want to make sure it wasn't in that one. So we have what's happening here. Nat run block and possibly break. Let's go pull up our macros again. Assuming that it hit the redo statement. Let's not assume that. Let's do this. Let's get our pass1 AST4, something like this. Each redo. Does this look similar? Add redo flag, C return. This is inside of a block function. Yep, that looks right. So let's also look at the C++ output from our compiler and make sure that makes sense. Here we have our block function. We are creating a nil value, and we're adding the redo flag, and then we're returning it. Okay. And down here, we're calling each, we're passing in the block. I'm not sure why that would behave differently. Let's just do a dumb printf here. Has redo flag. It does not have the redo flag. Fascinating, but if this is a loop, it does not have the redo flag either. It should never get to P2. It should only do P1 over and over again. No way, no way. Okay. What am I doing wrong? What have I done? Has redo flag. That was working. It's only printing one, so it's doing the right thing. This is not working at all. Okay, so let's go check the value redo flag. Oh my goodness, check that out right there. I just got in a hurry, which is my thing that I do often. Sometimes it pays to go slow. Okay, let's do the test. It works. Okay, so let's not focus this test anymore. Let's run all the tests. Works with Ruby, works with Natalie. That wasn't so bad. That wasn't so bad at all. So let's add all that to the index. Yes. And let's just look really quickly at these other macros. This one calls this one, so don't need to worry about that top one. This propagate break one removes the break flag and returns. What's the difference? Oh, only if it matches a certain environment. I think that was a special case, and I don't remember where that's used. I don't actually want to go look. The tests are passing. This possibly cleanup one, that one might be interesting. That's for opening a file. That's for opening a file and running a block on it. I don't know that redo would even make sense in that. Yeah, so just for funsies, what happens if you run redo in a file open block? Let's just call this our WAT test. File open readme.md. Here's my file pf redo. Does that work? Yes, redo actually works. Okay, so we need to make this work for a file. Let's build a little convoluted test here. Append. I'll just append one. We don't need to append the file itself. Redo if a.size less than 2, a should be 1 and 1. This is going to be a failing test. Very good. So to make that pass, I need that redo logic to work with this cleanup one as well. It'd be really cool if this cleanup code could be an optional parameter. But I've never seen a optional parameter in a C++ macro, or a C macro, that is. I mean, what would that even be? Yeah, it's not gonna like that. Expected comma. What if this is the only place the cleanup code it goes in two places? So okay, what if we do this? Cleanup code here. Cleanup code here. Cleanup code here. And now we change this one to be, this is the with cleanup. This is the not, there's no cleanup, but we call nat run block with cleanup. We pass an env the block arg count args block, and then our cleanup code is void. That could work. And we'll need a return here. Let's see if our tests pass. No. Let's start at the very beginning. Yeah, that's actually a type. So I think maybe this. I'm just looking at all the different ways that we could do nothing. I'm going to try curly braces. This is not something I do very often. Oh, at all. Didn't like that either. I'm just trying to see if where my failing is. Somewhere else, apparently. Conversion from void to non-scalar type value putter requested. What is void? Oh, right. So I don't actually want a return here. That makes sense. I just want this to be like that. I was thinking of it like a function, but the whole point of it being a macro is so that it doesn't have to return. If the tests still pass and the new test passes, then, look at that. Still passes with Ruby, right? I didn't make any mistakes there. It now passes with Natalie. Let's add that to the index. Oh, I really like this because that cleaned up a lot of duplication. Nat run block with outbreak. Man, I don't remember why that's there. That's on get default for hash value. It's in fiber. It's in fibers. It's in procs. Oh, yeah. I really should drive this from the test. So let's say it works within a file block. Okay. Are there any other tests I can come up with? How about a proc? How about a proc test? I have a feeling this does not work in a proc. Maybe works in a proc. So if I have a proc.new let's do it this way. Redo if size is less than 2. P.call A should equal 1, 1. I don't think that's true. That is true. Redo does work inside of a block, or proc, that is. I don't think break works inside of a proc. Break from proc closure, that's an error. That is correct. But redo does work inside of a proc. So I'll say works in a proc. And let's make sure it's failing with Natalie. Should be failing. Absolutely. So now we get to go do it here. Nat run block without break. This is probably going to have to look like this. So the difference here is that it did not return, it raised an error. So we're going to copy this down here. I don't think we need any cleanup code. We're going to paste that raise. Don't need the cleanup code here. Return the result. So now we're back to having some duplication. I don't know a great way around this. If you can think of something, let me know. This is very similar to this one up here. But let's see if it works. That did not work because I didn't scope this, and I think that's because it's being called from a fiber, and a fiber is not in the namespace or something like that. I'm okay with scoping that. Let's just scope this one as well. Yes, that test is passing. That's different. Nat call begin. Okay. Where do we use nat call begin? With a rescue block. So it works with begin. Just use our same trick here. Begin a is less than 1. Redo if a dot size is less than 2. And a should equal 1, 1. I don't know about this one. It's in a loop. I assume it's inside of this begin over and over again. No, that does not work. You can't do that. Okay. I don't know. Redo acts weird inside of a begin in Ruby, and I don't care to figure out why. So we're just going to call it good for today. I feel great about how much we got done. We implemented a pretty cool little feature, not very often used. Just wanted to make sure a couple of tests pass before I run the full test suite. Enumerable and blocks. There's a lot of block tests. I want to make sure I didn't break any of those. Yes. Implement redo statement. Oh, that's so cool. Sweet. The entire test suite passes. I did think of something I wanted to do. I wanted to close this issue from the commit. I always enjoy doing that. I think it's kind of fun. I mean, it's totally unnecessary, but fixes number 18, implement redo statement. Let's say closes. It's not really a bug. Was it a bug? Yeah, I don't know. Closes is number 18. Push everywhere. And then I like jumping over here and seeing it closed. I get such a kick out of that every time. You'd think I'd get tired of it. But we did it. Implement redo statement. I feel pretty good about it. The only thing I wasn't too thrilled about was this run block without break. This is very similar to this other one, nat run block and possibly break with cleanup. But I feel like we made good forward progress. We did eliminate some duplication with these two. And now I just have this one calls this other macro. Or I guess it's not really calling it. It's being replaced. So this macro is being replaced by this macro, which I appreciate. And I was able to use the empty curly braces as basically nothing. The cleanup code is nothing in here, and this feels good. This feels good. Not too thrilled about this duplication, but I don't know how to fix it, and I'm going to leave it. If you have any ideas, please let me know. I like that we were able to add the redo flag. Really kind of justifies that. At first I thought I will never need that many flags. Why make this an enum? make it a couple booleans and move on with life, but I'm really happy I made it flags and enum. And yeah, we got to do a tiny bit of work in the compiler. One lonely method that just processes the AST and turns it into our internal representation, basic like pseudo C code here. And that's it. Wrote some good tests. So I guess we're done for today. Thanks for hanging out in this. I hope that you saw something interesting. I'm not sure what we're going to be working on next. What other kind of issues we have? Yeah, I'm not going to touch that one right now. There's a whole bunch of enumerable stuff that we can work on. I might do that in some videos. I'm trying to do more casual videos, just simple little bug fixes and simple features rather than huge rewrites of stuff, which I've been want to do recently, the garbage collector being one of those things, parsing, all that stuff. We're going to focus on some simpler things going forward just to make some good content that I think people will enjoy and get a kick out of. And I hope that you enjoy it. So I'll see you in the next video.